All right, hey everyone. I am James Grayley from Adrenaline. I have Carl Bonta from Powerhouse on the line tonight on the Paintcast. We are here to talk about the new Adrenaline Regulator um, and the features that we're going to have in it, which also includes some new features from Powerhouse. We're real excited to be debuting it alongside of Carl tonight for the world to find out about. That'll be coming in our regulators, and also how you could get it and some of your existing Powerhouse regulators. Welcome, Carl. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you here. So I think I have a couple of I've showed some pictures of our regulator today. I was just going to talk about a little bit some of the things that make it unique, and then we can talk about the new system that you have, and let you describe it a little bit. The features that you've changed, and then maybe how they could get it if they're not grabbing an adrenaline regulator, maybe how they could get it overall. So I'm going to hold up. I showed some pictures of ours online today. If you didn't see it, um, Carl is the genius behind this on making the machining match the Adrenaline Lux. We were very particular with it, and he was right on board with making it right. It's got a glass gauge. We have titanium. It's the first full body, fully milled regulator in paintball for the top and the bottom. We've done our design. The Adrenaline Lux kind of pattern tri-mid is what we call it in-house. And not only that, but Carl and his guys were able to match it up so that you can tell in the close-up pictures that the machining is consistent from the front and the rear, the two-piece design. In fact, maybe he can tell you about the headache that was. But his new machine, I think they call it Michelangelo, and they say they have to sculpt them rather than machine them because it takes so long. So I know we're excited. It's a new relationship for us, and we want to do everything the best. And we were led to you because we felt like you guys had the best products, and we've tried to push the envelope, and you've allowed us to do that. We do add our little serial numbers on it, if you can see it there. So I guess let's go ahead and get you started, so we don't keep people here all night on, some of the changes that are, I've talked about briefly, it's not on a regular reg, and then let you talk about the Power Puck system.
Okay, great. Yeah, going back to what you said about the regulator in general, this project brings forward a new era in tank regulators. And myself and Jeff Schreiber, when we started down this project in 2016, what I did was look at all the paintball guns that were currently on the market. I had been out of the game for a long time, and I was amazed by the milling and some of the things. So with this regulator, we now match the complexity and the beauty that all these paintball guns have. And so we're really, really proud of that. But related to this system, what it does is, and I know the first question everybody's going to ask is it backwards compatible? And it is. So if you have a haymaker, and what that means is it has a stainless steel replaceable jet, and that allows you to use this regulator for different industries. Also allows us to change that out, kind of like the calipers or the discs on your car. One of the problems we had, as all regs do, is they get pumped full of garbage, and what happens is they, with the ball seal that we have, and what goes on is that ball gets damaged, and so as debris and things get in that seat and seal, that's when regulators start overpressurizing. And we wanted, we're really good about changing that for guys, but we hated to do like a rebuild kit with a piston. We machine these things. We spend a lot of time machining them, and then guys just, you throw it away and stick a new one in there. So that to me didn't make sense. I hated to see that. So the ball, you can pop it out, press a new one in, but it's not for the everyday user, right? So the holy grail was to come up with something that would work as well as the ball or better. And then if we uh, if we could make it so that just the general population of paintball players could take their reg apart, clean it, take this puck, which we've coined the power puck. You take the power puck out and replace it and put a new one in there. And this system has been under development. We've been testing for about 13 months. These have been on the pro field at NXL since last year.
I was joking that a lot of these guys probably don't really realize they're testing them. You hand some of these pro guys like, hey, shoot this reg. And I was talking to Corey Field. I said, I don't know if you realize you've tested this, but I'm going to be talking about it this week. So,
yeah, some guys will tell, some guys we won't, depending on who it is, and we know what their feelings are, but we watch closely, obviously not in tournament. If we give it to somebody, we feel comfortable enough that they're going to survive through practice and not have any issues. And we have diagnostic equipment that allows us to do a lot of testing, bench testing, high level bench testing. And so, but nothing as good as, coastal paintball, where we're pumping calcium into the tanks and things. But what this system does is it's really user friendly, right? So look, I don't want to take your money to rebuild stuff. Just pay for the regulator, and that was always kind of the motto that I had. This allows guys that should be able to, if they can adjust their reg, they should be able to separate the two halves and pull that puck out and then replace it. Clean, obviously clean and lube and replace it, and you're going to get a lot of mileage out of it.
Yeah, I know someone in my the private Adrenaline Lux owners group said, hey, on my reg, if whatever you're working on isn't done yet, you can send it with the old stuff. I know you're working on something. And I explained to them, like, look, we're not going to ship stuff that's not ready. They've been working on this for a long time. When I visited you guys, I don't know when that was. That's been months ago now.
Yeah.
You guys had a near great product at that time. I was real impressed with the Power Puck at that time. So it's been in development for I know a long time since we started talking about it. You were telling me about it, so I'm excited that you guys have got it down.
We so this business to me is I have a passion for it, and you have to, right? If you're involved in a paintball business, you need to be passionate about it. And I don't take the field anymore, but this is how we take the field, how our company takes the field. And we never rest on our laurels. We're always constantly trying to make things better. And whatever we do, it has to be better. We expect more money for our product because we're doing that. And so far it's worked out really well. I know a lot of guys that say, "Oh, I was happy with what I had," and we're always thinking about how could it be better. And
well, I'll interrupt and say I started playing in 1987, and my buddy, we started playing when we were 11, and I remember when he wanted his 68 special from Tippmann, he told his mom, guns can never be better. This is the last iteration of any paintball gun, Mom. Buy this for me. This is the last one I'll ever need to own. It'll never get better. So that makes me think of that when you say that, because if we just don't keep pushing ourselves, then it never will. But luckily, people are. So
and we understand that, and the companies that are in paintball today most of them are there for a reason. And they understand this, and we just want to keep pace with what the products that they're coming out with.
And I know most of the people probably watching and going to watch on tape delay are our customers that, are shooting our guns. Not all, some of them are going to be interested in how to get the power puck. But we've provided a premium regulator with, titanium and every part that we can make a premium part. When you said, hey, A or B, one's better, one's more expensive, I went with, the better and more expensive. And our customers have, they're happy with it. They're almost completely sold out. And that's the way we like to do stuff. And so it's a good opportunity to throw nice stuff out there and, obviously for you guys as well. Now, do you have something on the computer you want to show that maybe help explain it a little better?
Yeah, without getting too technical, because I like to do that. We'll be here all night, but let me share something
Yeah.
with the audience there. Let me.
Okay.
So what I have is I have a side-by-side comparison of a ball piston. Okay, so these are all the same parts. We have a different piston and a different sealing element. Okay, now I will cut them in half. I'll cut it in half so you can maybe better see it. Okay, so what we have here is a standard ball piston like we have, okay? And that is sitting in our adjustment insert. And here's our Haymaker jet, right? So this is in the reg, right? So if you can imagine the tank sitting, above here, okay? And air is coming through. What's happening with this ball is it's sealing on this crisp edge here, okay? And that's what gets deteriorated. So when that gets deteriorated, your reg starts to fail. So in most regs, all regs, they're aluminum and they're part of the body. The Haymaker is replaceable and it's stainless steel. It's kind of like a power washer, right? I mean, the nozzle gets deteriorated after a certain period of time. Same thing's happening here. But you see this radius here. This ball is actually fits into. I'll actually pull the jet down on the ball. So right there we seal, okay. But we have this area that's into the jet, okay, into the flow path. So what happens is that kind of gets beaten up, this area, and then this ball has got to go further to seal, okay? And what happens is now it has to travel further to get the same amount of air out. This is where we get into things like shoot down, right? So now let me move over to the power puck system. Okay, now the power puck system is the piston that is actually, I'll show you the piston. The piston is actually solid on the end, okay? And it has this flat area, okay? And that flat area meets up with the power puck, okay? And the power puck, I should probably show you that part. This is the power puck. It's simply a resilient material. It's got some flats. It's housed within the adjustment insert, this piece here, that all of the Haymakers and Gen 2 have. And what happens in this case is we're now pushing this up against here, and we're creating a seal. We're not intruding in on the flow path, and we're getting a nice, so when this opens, it doesn't have to travel as far to get more air out. So it was a really, so what that does for us is it helps in the assembly process, okay? And then as far as longevity, what happens here on the ball, this ball has got to try and fight to find center to seal. In this situation here with this design, there's no fighting. It's just two surfaces, in plane that are basically collapsing to create a seal. Whereas with the ball, and there's timing, this is milliseconds. This ball, this is sitting in O-rings, right? This is all riding in O-rings, so it can actually move around. It's compliant, okay? And that actually will come into here, and it may hit this edge a little more. And so what happens is it starts to become a sloppy reg, and not a nice tight reg. So this system is something Jeff Schreiber and I concepted, and I designed this. We talked about, hey, what can we do to make things better? Assembly wise, this really helped out. And for performance, it was the clear winner with performance. What made it difficult for me was I had to get everything so that we can be backwards compatible, because I think the world would have really been, even if we made new parts, I didn't want a flood of regs coming in. I didn't want to send parts out to guys and have them rebuild it unless it was something very simple. So my job, what I did was I made the parts to actually be backwards compatible. So I took a little from here, a little from there, and I was able to come up with the right balance of performance, longevity, and between all the regs that are out there. Not all, but all the Haymaker.
I would have liked exclusivity, but I'm sure the fans like that you made it backwards compatible. So we had a question here. Someone said, I literally just bought a brand new Haymaker. When would I be able to do this upgrade? So the Adrenaline Regulators have them in them now. I'm shipping these starting tomorrow morning. If you have a Nebula and you're one of the first ones, you'll be getting an email. When can Regular Joe get the Power Puck kit? Do you know the answer to that yet?
It's going to be either right before or right after the Dallas Minor, NXL Minor. We still have things to do, packaging and things.
And will they go through their favorite Powerhouse dealer, or will they go directly to you guys to get those, or either or? Or how,
either or. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So, that's what we have, and this system is moving forward, going to replace everything that we see for service, and as well as at tournament.
So I know it should be more reliable and less issues at tournaments, but I also think the performance. At least I was watching. You guys have this really cool test bench with Jeff he's not pulling a trigger, but he's simulating a trigger pull, and he had it. Our regs are sitting around 425, 450, and that's the pressure he had on the test bench with the Power Puck system, and it was just hovering right around. I mean, it just wasn't going. He was showing me other regulators, and I won't say names. He was hooking them up, and they were really dipping, and then as he got on it, they would dip, and he let off, and they would recover. And yours, it was just hovering right around, wherever he had it set at. In our case, it was like around 440, I think. So it was real impressive performance-wise.
Yeah. So we like to actually, we would like to think we're helping the next reg in line. Okay. So over the chrono, you're seeing what your secondary reg is doing to the gun, right? But if I'm fluctuating, if I'm providing air that isn't consistent, okay, and consistent, I mean pressure, I mean flow. There's 5 different elements to get into. So if 3 of those aren't happening, you're going to see a difference at the chrono. And so it's our job as tank regulator manufacturers. We have to supply consistent air, and the only way to do that is to have diagnostic equipment. It's impossible. You can't see what they're doing. We can't see inside there. We've cut them apart and we see certain things, but you can't test for everything unless you actually have that type of equipment. And that's designed and built that myself to be able to do this. You can't buy that type of equipment, but all the regs that we manufacture are, they're hand built, hand tested. Jeff, is the final assembly. He adjusts every regulator, and nothing goes out under, say, 425, and doesn't go out over around 480, 475, I think is the number. He would know better, but anything with a battery is going to shoot. People ask us, hey, what pressure? Does the gun have a battery? You're going to be good at 450.
And for those of us, even in the mechanical version of our guns, that's still what we recommend, is right in between those numbers there.
Correct. And for the guys that need a little bit more, right? I mean, there are some guns that do require more. You simply adjust so you'll simply adjust this piece right here and crank it to where you want it to be. You need a gauge to be able to do that. I know that the idea was that adjustment, it gives us fine tuning, right? So we don't want to put shims in and things like that because they get lost, right? You need a magnet, and it's just tougher. So with the adjustability that we have there, and it's internal adjustability, right? Because you can't do external adjustability because you need a tournament lock and things like that. It's there's no use for that, right? There's no reason to really adjust your reg unless you have a specific gun. And so everything for Adrenaline will go out in the 425, 450 range. They'll be nice and tight.
Well, I know when we were first talking, instead of going with the titanium and the power puck, I had offered instead to do 6 gauges, because I know other companies are adding lots of gauges. And I said, let's do 6 or 7 gauges. And Carl said, no, let's not do that. I got something better. So we almost went that route, but we didn't. So I have a question here. Someone said, how are the serial numbers working? So here we go. So when you made the order, I put you in line. So we debuted them on day 1, and orders started coming in quickly. So Jesse Williams asked that. So Jesse, you are 46. This is yours. It's in the pictures today. So I don't know if you can make it out, but this is 46. This is your reg in the pictures. Why are we shipping 46 before 4 or 6? The answer is Rob and we were at Blizzard. We were doing anodizing. I wanted to debut this power puck with Carl and get it out. And we were doing some Nebula guns. And rather than doing one-offs with, whatever that's people ordered, we were running Nebula. So I said, let's run some Nebulas. And that's what we did. So we ran the first 3 regs that had been ordered. And so that's why the serial number is a little bit off. But there's no rhyme or reason other than I took him in first. Well, I take it back. I took serial number 1, and my senior partner, Chad, he has serial number 2. And so a couple of the team guys got some of the early numbers. And we gave a couple of other guys that have been on the team for a long time some early double digits or single digits. And then, we started with, the customer orders. So the custom standard are all sold out. We had a couple extra that I wanted to get out to anodizing, so I just picked the patterns. We will be making probably some more, so there'll be an opportunity to make it match. We do have some long bodies I'm getting ready to send out. I have, I think, 3 or 4 left on the site that someone can order. Those are going out this week to be anodized. So a couple people have asked, can they add it to their existing order? It may be too late at this stage, to have it anodized with your gun, but and if you want the standard body, we'll have some more coming in at some point. So hopefully not too long. Luckily, this Michelangelo machine, we get good machine time on it because we need it. It's complicated, so it's a good use of the machine, I guess, for us. So I'm not going to post that one. Let's see. On black, I will say that black has gone out. It was right off the bat, and I know they've been working on them. They all hate all the anodizers hate myself and Carl because he machines it in one piece. They have to stay together at all times. Once it comes off the machine, because they have threads on the inside, it's the only set. This is the the only front that'll match this back. So instead of just doing, we did 80 of the standard bodies in black. I'm sure Outlaw would have loved to have dusted 80 backs and 80 fronts and throw them in. Instead, he has to keep them together in matched pairs, which is a big headache, but it makes it so if you can see in the pictures where the machining all lines up. So it's taking a little bit longer that way because instead of just running a big batch of 160 parts, they're having to make sure that they don't get mixed match so that your machining lines up, which is really cool. And I did a video the other day, Carl, of trying to with the raw one to show that you couldn't tell the line. I actually faked the line in the video and you couldn't even really see it. It's when it's if we had a pattern like say a faded pattern, this one with Nebula, it's kind of all over the place. You can see the line a little bit, but some of the others, it's just completely invisible. So it's kind of cool how it turned out that way, doing it where you did it as one piece.
Yeah, it's unrecognizable coming off the machine, which you would see that more so than after it's anodized, I would think. And yeah, that's the only way to do it. A lot of guys, look, for the smart guys that know machining, we could have timed the threads. It's possible. But the problem is, even if we time the threads, we send them out to ano, depending on where they rack, how much penetration they get between caps and bodies. Believe it or not, we've seen it before, where even if the threads, they went out perfect, come back and they're anodized and they look great. They look like what you wanted. You screw the two together and they'll be off, a few minutes, not arc seconds, but minutes. And you'll see that. You'll pick that up. So, but with your pattern, here's the beauty. With your pattern, let's say a guy's like, well, how about a year from now, after I've taken it apart 5-6 times, you've serviced it, we put new gauges, we've done this, we've done that. We kind of found that even if it's off just a hair, it's very hard to pick that up. So
it is, and it's a repeating pattern, right? So I did notice that today. I was taking one apart, and it does match up if you just keep turning. You'll find a pattern, even if it's the wrong part. I did that just to test it. So it is possible, I guess, but don't tell the anodizers that if they're listening. Definitely stick with the pair.
We have to. I mean, if a guy is ordering it, he wants it to line up. I know
right.
If I'm buying, it's got to line up.
Right. So question on the warranty. So one of the things, I've told Carl, he said, hey, I want to keep a bunch of your gauges. So we go to tournaments. If somebody shows up, we can put, adrenaline gauge on it and all that. So I'm not going to set a booth up to work on these gauges at tournaments. You just go to the Powerhouse booth if he's there, or if you need to send it in, you can send it to Powerhouse and he'll have our parts, our titanium bonnet, the top part. I mean, that's his standard part that you can buy as an upgrade on any of the Powerhouse regs. It's just
that's a dark cartridge. Yeah, the bonnet is a one-piece device. But so yeah, as far as warranty, look, any of the NXL events, we're going to be there. There's 4 of us now. So we're a little easier to find. You can send. Just pay the shipping, send it back. We'll fix it. We don't charge. You've already paid for it. Obviously, if it's in really bad shape, we'll discuss it with you. But we haven't had that yet. Just don't drive over it, and we'll fix it for you.
So here's another question on serial numbers. So if you have serial number 44 Adrenaline, you're not getting maybe the Reg 44. I don't know if that's what you're asking or not. Maybe next generation gun and next generation, way down the road, our Adrenaline Regulator through Powerhouse, you could plan ahead, and we could, if you have the right, maybe either Flaming Skull, or if you're a subscriber, you could say, hey, I want my gun to be this serial number and my Reg to be this serial number. We could definitely do that. Courtney Your daughter said, send me an email, I'll give you the info. I actually don't know who she's answering on that. Maybe just the details on, I don't know who she's answering on that. I'm sorry, Courtney. If you post it back up, I'll
I think what she's probably trying to do is if you have any warranty questions
okay.
or anything there in the future, rather than going directly to you guys, you can come directly to us.
Okay, great. So if anyone else has any questions, Q&A, I will do a separate video, how to, once you screw it into your gun, into the ASA, how to adjust it so that you can, spin the gauge. If some of you may not be familiar with Powerhouse products, what is the coating on the fill nipple? You told me that already. What is that? Because normally they're silver.
Yeah, so that's our newest. We've been playing around for 2 years, 2.5 years, trying to get just the right coating. So what we have is, the fill nipple is one of the most important things on a reg, right? Because if that thing fails, you got problems. And so we spent a lot of time on those. And what we did was we did a pre-treatment, and then here at the factory, and then we sent them out for a gun coating, which is black nitride. And that black nitride is really great on the fill nipple because it's a gun coating, right? So you're not getting it an accelerated rust. I know a lot of the other ones that have been out in the past, they do a black oxide, and that's just accelerated rusting. So then the other is a lot of them have a barrel plate, right, where you're compacting the finish onto the fill nipple. Well, it doesn't last. That's the problem. You give it 100 fills and that's it. The coatings, looks terrible. So we had to come up with something, and we did a lot of work in the firearms industry, and so we know what these coatings or these possible coatings that we have access to. We said, hey, let's just spend the money and do it.
I had a question here, and not to corner if you don't know this yet, but have you thought about the kit price? How much Tim asked how much the upgrade kit will be, the Power Puck system?
Yeah,
do you know that yet?
Yeah, what we'll have is it'll be, I think it'll be a lesser, so like it'll be less than it should be less or right around the price of a rebuild kit, right? So piston's not going to cost any more, and with the rebuild, ideally a rebuild kit is going to be this puck, and that'll be less than $3.
For the puck.
Correct.
Yeah, not the rebuild kit.
Not the rebuild kit.
Yeah. So I don't think anyone's asked this, but I'll ask it. So Gen 2 and Gen 3 can be upgraded, or just Gen 3?
So it's always funny because we always were trying to stick to a gen, and then that's where I came up with, hey, we need to, we need to knock this thing out, right? And that's where the haymaker, came in. The end all of tank regulators. So we know what you mean by Gen 3, but when you say haymaker, it makes a lot more sense. Just here.
So haymaker, all haymakers could be upgraded.
All haymakers. A Gen 2 that doesn't. There was a short amount of Gen 2.5, and they probably were just in the tournament world. They probably didn't go out to customers. Those would be able to run the puck system. But all you need to do is if your regulator says, no matter whose private name, it could be anyone's name on it. We do a lot of private labeling, but as long as it says haymaker on it, then it's sure to be able to run this Power Puck system.
So on the long bodies, so it doesn't change performance, I don't think, right? It's just more of a ergonomics, right? So it's for the people that used to have
This is a good question. This is a really good question, right? Because we go back to the beginning. I said passion. I'm passionate about things, right? So we go to tournament. What happens is guys bring regulators, and they have a regulator, and they've got somebody else's reg extender, right? Two things happen. One, they get seized onto our regulators, so we can't service them the way we want to. And the other is it's got internal parts in it that usually go wrong before our reg parts go wrong. And then the guy's like, hey, it's leaking. And that became kind of a habit. Getting 10 of these guys every tournament, and I said, you know what, this is why do we need to do this? I'm not going to do this. I'll go back. I'm going to design a longer regulator, and then people will take advantage of the stainless. Our regs come with a stainless cartridge, or we have an upgradable titanium. As your reg, it comes standard with titanium, and that's what you want to screw into the ASA. You don't want to screw alike metals together. It's unless you kind of have to. We just rely on the fact that they're coated and they've got enough texture. But if you do that, enough times, that they start wearing each other. And so I said, you know what? Let's just add the length of what a reg extender is to the body. The rest of the reg is all the same, right? And so one of the local guys, Ronnie Dizon, he plays for Houston Heat. And, I asked him, I said, here's what I want to do. I showed him the screenshots, and I'm like, what do you think if I put the burst discs in line on the same plane over here and this? And he's like, yeah, it looks great. So we did that. We went ahead and machined those parts. I had Ronnie testing it at our local Field of Dreams field, and he was in love, and he said, yeah, just like this. And then we went into production, and it didn't, honestly, it didn't take off all that well in the beginning. And I think maybe we're just not so good at marketing. But the guys that did get on board will never go back. They have to have it. They love it. And it's an option. It's an option.
I did a head count on our team. Like, hey, we're doing regulators for the team. Tell me if you want regular or long, standard or long. And it was about half and half. Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to call out one of our guys. I won't say his name. He said, just give me a standard and I'll use a reg extender. I said, no. First of all, it's not going to match. It's going to look, we got like an image here. Plus, it's not what we recommend. So anyway, we went with a long body. But to answer your question, mate, Christopher, the reason people do this is that, if the ergonomics, if you like to have it out longer, it gets it out a little farther. And some people think it makes them a little quicker, a little snappier. Unger on our team absolutely loves it long. But Eric Dearman, who plays for us, wants as small as possible. And so he's asking about, drop forwards and things, so it's all about what works for you. So we offer them, both ways. So here's a good question. Does the servicing, is it the service schedule and recommendations going to change for the Power Puck? And that's not exactly what he asked, because he may be new to the brand. He's asking your normal kind of what you recommend for servicing.
Kind of unknown at this point. That's a very good question.
Well, on the ball, it was way more than I ever did. You guys, Jeff was like, oh yeah, every couple months. I was like, what? Like, this is a every couple year thing for me, So,
right. So and there lies the problem, right? So you have an adequate, I'll call the ball system an adequate system, okay, but it has inherent problems. This system, we believe, we haven't been 2 years yet, right? Yes, you don't know. Right? Yeah. It's kind of hard when you got somebody like, Jason Edwards playing at CFP, and having him send his reg back every weekend, we wouldn't do that to him. So it's it's hard to get that. The same amount of junk is being pumped through it. I will say that. As far as how it handles it, it seems to be better. So it's a good idea. I wish I knew in cases, right? It should be, the mileage should be in cases, not in time, right? So it's
Right,
how
that's
much
fair.
do you play? Where do you play? These things. If you're in a coastal area, you're by the ocean, those air compressors are pulling in moisture from the air. That moisture comes off the sea. It's got salt and calcium, basically calcium, and that compressor is compressing it into in basically into the tank. We see that all the time with tanks. We go to tournament, and we bang them with a wrench. We now bring BBs, and we put BBs into the tank and shake them, and it's like an angioplasty for the tank, right? So guy comes in, hey, I just had this thing serviced a month ago, and it blew up again. Let's see the tank. He might have had it serviced, but he didn't have his tank. We get the tank, and it's got a fossil in there, and so the tank actually needs a cleaning. So there's a lot of variables there. If you the idea with this was to take the 3 screws, separate the reg, clean the reg, Q-tip, alcohol, just like you would your gun, and pop that puck out of there. Maybe clean it if you don't have one. If you have one, throw a new one in, and then lube the O-rings on the piston, and go play paintball. I mean, if all you did was take it apart and clean it and lube it, you will be better off than not taking it apart at all. Trust me.
Right, which is the most common thing, at least on my team.
Yeah, they don't fix themselves. We haven't figured that one out.
Right.
We need to figure that out.
Someone asked if they're sold out. So our current batch of custom anodized standard body is sold out. We do have dust black, which are really truly dust. Like I've sent them off. Outlaw is dusting all the parts separately and anodizing them black in Texas. And then we do have a couple long body left in the custom anodizing. And then we have dust black in those two. Not many of anything. It's almost all gone, which is, somebody said that. But they were available for a little while. We will try to get one more batch in. So there will be another opportunity, and just stay tuned on, the site, and we'll do like a countdown timer and all that like we've done in the past. Here's a good question. I know, let's see, I'll let you handle that one from Steve. Is the puck reversible?
Very good question. It is. And that Jeff and I have talked about, okay, so if the guy doesn't lose it when he takes the thing apart, there's a good possibility that he could flip it over and get more mileage out of it. Yeah, that is.
It's more like a tournament, like if you're in a bind, right? Like if you had a problem and you had a $3 puck, replace it. It's what we do with ASA O-rings. So on Luxus and Shockers, if there's a leak, a lot of times you can take it out and flip it. And if you're at a tournament, you don't have anything else, and it'll work. So that's what I do if I don't have a 10-cent O-ring. But if I have the 10-cent O-ring, I'll replace it. So yeah, Steve, if you're somewhere and you're in a bind and it's got a problem, you can flip it and use it. Otherwise, they're going to be easy to buy, a 10-pack, for not a whole lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. Thank you for that question, Steve.
So here's a question, gun lube or reg lube. So I haven't shown a picture of our box yet, but our box does include what I'll call Powerhouse lube. I don't know what Carl calls it, but it comes with the lube in the box. So it's like a gooey, thick oil. I don't know what it is, but
yeah. So we're pretty particular about the lube that we use, and the reason is we want it to stay on, right? That's the most important thing, is that it's there, right? Because we've got potentially 1,800 psi in that regulating chamber, right? Normally whatever set point pressure, but potentially it could go before your burst disc blows, right? So that's a lot of pressure, and we also, the guns are shooting at 12.5. You're moving a lot of air through there, and that'll take and wick off, a lightweight oil or grease, right? So the lube we found, the lube that is safe for the guns, right? Because we're going right into the gun, so we've got to be conscious of what may potentially get into the gun. And this O-ring this lube is very inert and clean, and it doesn't cause any grief with the O-rings, yet it stays on. It's super expensive, but you only need a little bit, and we include that with the regulators. It's a year supply. May not look like it, but a little bit goes a long way.
Especially if you never take your reg apart, like the guys on my team, it's a lifetime supply. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Joe said, time to celebrate with a beer. So I don't have any more questions here. We've gone on for about 50 minutes. I will do another video, like I said, would kind of talk about if you're new to Powerhouse, obviously, well, the servicing is different. I'm still learning about that, I guess, with the power puck. But how to make adjustments. The pressures obviously you don't need to adjust. I just mean if you want to rotate it, things like that. But it should be, at least if you're shooting it on an Adrenaline Lux, it should be good out of the box. But if you wanted to raise a little bit and shoot it on a shocker or something like that, you could. It's pretty easy, especially if you have the tools to test it. But and the person asked about maintenance. There's a lot of how to service your Haymaker tech videos out there. Obviously, it's a little different with the power puck, but a lot of it still applies. So I've actually seen some of those myself, and they're well done. So Alan says he loves Powerhouse, and we all do. And they've been at every event that I've been to for the last year and a half. It sounds like they're going to keep that up. Now I'm going to be in England for Nikki T's event, the ECPO. You guys going to be in England? I don't think so, right? So got you on that one. So.
We talk about it every year.
I'm just can't wait to go for the trip. So Nikki T's my buddy, and then I was thinking about going, and then he worked it out with Tom Cole, and now it's a part of our league, and it's an actual league stop. So we're excited. So we're planning on assuming that COVID and everything and the war and everything kind of allows it. We'll be planning on going over there. So we're excited about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I on my to-do list, my daughter sent me today, I have to email Nikki T, so I've got a Zoom call with him. So
he's got a signature series Adrenaline Lux, like he's one of our sponsored athletes, and they have their own voice packs, and I've got his files and we're working on it, and he said his is the only one that's actually in English. But just because it speaks the Queen's English, he says. So proper English.
Proper English. Okay.
Yeah. But that's my boy. I'm excited to be going over there and hanging out with those guys. So anyway, we're excited to get these in our customers' hands. We're going to start shipping them. These three will go out tomorrow. So Royce Ainsworth, Jesse Williams, and Michael Hosey. These are your three in Nebula. You'll be getting an email with some shipping information tomorrow. And then they're starting to pour in. I know that Rob posted earlier. He's already shipped another 2 batches out to you guys that he's been anodizing. And then Outlaw, of course, is doing a huge batch of the Dust Black. If they haven't started your gun at any of these locations, then they're going to run it with the gun. Someone asked that earlier. But if they've already ran your gun, then they'll be able to match it pretty close. So especially being where it's at on the gun, it should be a pretty good match, I think. Like these look perfect for Nebula. Okay, well, listen, thanks for coming on, Carl. Appreciate it. I can see you're still in the office, it looks like. So thanks for staying late. So we appreciate that. We're all huge fans of your work, and you and Jeff did awesome work on this puck. So I still have a couple Dust Black left of both styles on the line if somebody wants them. And then it sounds like here pretty soon you'll have the upgrade packs available directly and then maybe through their local favorite dealer that carries your products, I guess.
That's correct. Like I said, somewhere around Dallas on XL, it'll probably be after. But as I said, as soon as we can get packaging and pictures and Sometimes we always look at the engineering and manufacturing and machining and laser and all the stuff that we do here that's very easy. We don't appreciate what it takes to do the small things, but
well, I will say I'll vouch for, so Hans, who's one of the main engineers and head guys at DLX, always says that we're crazy attention to detail and we're a pain in the ass, basically. And I will say I'm impressed, and we're OCD about it. And I will say I'm impressed dealing with you guys about, you guys are too, which is a perfect fit. Like, I was worried when we first tried, to match up the machining and we couldn't match it. And I thought you were going to push me to like, oh, well, it'll be close enough. And you were like, no, we got to figure this out so that it matches perfect. And I was like, oh, this is my guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, certainly. Yeah, because here's the thing. I mean, you have an Adrenaline Lux. There's, it's a work of art, right? I mean, it's a work of art. Anything you put on it has to match. So if we're going to put our name on it, you're going to get the performance, but it had to check every box. I mean, otherwise, if it doesn't, we're not done with it, right?
Well, and like I said, I thought I would have to push you for it, but you were on board right away. So I'm real impressed with working with you guys so far. So
yeah, I look forward to getting a lot of those out the door for you.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you for watching. I'll post this up, so if you weren't able to catch it all, you'll be able to rewind it. It should be on our page and on our YouTube channel here in the next few minutes. Carl, thanks for staying late at the office. And Courtney, too, for tuning in. And we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, James. Bye, guys.